Hello, hello, hello. Video request time. Okay. This one's from Air Handler. Air Handler, the hypochondriac. Or at least with hypochondriac tendencies. Can you do a video if you have ever been arrested or cited for anything, or if you have ever to go to court for anything, and if you haven't, how do you manage not to get arrested or fined for weed when you traveled across the country in your van? Did you just not smoke any weed when you were traveling? Also, do you have any tips for finding new weed dealers if you are in a new city and where you are afraid you might approach a narc undercover cop when asking strangers for weed? That would be a relevant question if you asked it like 10 years ago, or if I was traveling through like the southeast part of America where they hate anything that's not like lily white Christian. So, have you ever been arrested for cited for anything? Have you ever had to go to court for anything? Yeah. I was in Durango, Colorado in summer school one summer, and I was sleeping in my van in the university parking lot, which was like empty because it's the summer. And these regular cops come and bust me, wake me up at like 2 in the morning, and give me a ticket. So I show up, and the judge is all like, "How do you plead?" And I was like, "I don't know, guilty." She was like, $40 fine then. But I should have said like, because I heard that the university's private property, and that they should that the campus cops should deal with that stuff. But whatever, if that's what the judge says. But I had been given warnings there and not been fined also. I don't think it was related to that. Maybe it was. Maybe they remembered me and they just didn't say so. But I've been given a pass a lot, so on that particular town. Now, yeah, I've been busted sleeping in my van by cops a few times. Once I was in Tucson. I uploaded a video, actually 3 videos. I was all drunk and I was all like yelling and shit, and the next morning at 9 this cop banged on my window and was like, "What are you doing?" But it was out of the city limits, so he didn't have any legal jurisdiction, even though it was in a neighborhood. But then another time in Tucson, I was in a parking lot that was like between the cop station and the library. And I saw this big-ass Winnebago that was parked there, so I thought it was cool to park there. So I went into the cop station and I asked him if it was cool, and one of the cops was like, he was a young guy, he was like, "Yeah, I used to live in my van, yeah, cool man, do it." So I did it, but then like the next morning, this other cop was all pissed, being a dick. He's like, "What the hell are you doing, cop, parking in the right behind the cop station?" I was like, "Well, I went in there and I asked him," I said, "Oh." He's like, "You didn't ask me. You didn't ask me. You have any weapons? If I see her again, I'll arrest you." And he was just being a fucking dick. He was saying that after I told him that I got permission from the cops in the cop station, so whatever. And then I got busted. I was in Seattle, and it was in the middle of Seattle, but it was a section going up this hill, so it was just trees. And there was a side part, where people park. And I was camped there for like 3 days. And this cop busted me in the morning. He said all these people were calling him, and that was probably a bad place to park because, if somebody's brakes go out or they have to stop, they need that parking area for a reason, not for somebody to be living out of their fucking car. I just liked it because it was in the jungle and it made me feel like I was like camping and stuff, except for in the morning when it was rush hour. But he wasn't a dick or anything. He just told me to get lost. And then this other dude busted me, I think because they called him and said somebody was doing drugs, and they went and busted me in some neighborhood in some cul-de-sac where they hadn't built houses yet in Bellingham, Washington. But the cop told me that I could stay there, that it was legal as long as I moved the car once every 24 hours. So that was pretty cool. And he was being cool. Then I got busted in Dallas. There's people at LA Fitness. The people who worked in LA Fitness fucking called the cops on me after camping at their place for like one night. And then some other security dude busted me. So yeah, cops busted me in downtown Dallas once. But that was really cool. Let's see. And I think they would give my name and stuff and give me a warning or whatever. So yeah, that's happened a bunch of times. Okay, now have I ever had to go to court? Yeah, I had to pay that $40 for sleeping in my van. And if you van, how would you manage to not get arrested for fine for weed when you travel across the country in your van? Or did you just not smoke any weed when you were traveling? Yeah, well, I never get pulled over. I never get pulled over by cops because I'm like, I don't have like, when I was living in my van, I didn't have long hair. I wasn't cutting my hair though. No, I did have long hair. Yeah, I did have long hair. I was growing my hair out. That's what was going on. But yeah, I just don't get pulled over because I don't speed, dude. You know, like I'm smart. I don't speed. But I also don't have any weed either. You know, when I was living in my van for like a year and a half or whatever, I wasn't smoking weed. I got high like twice. I got high on Mountain Hood once. I saw these people smoking pot in a parking lot at the top of the ski resort, and I was like, ooh. So I walked up to him with this couple of books. Anybody want some books? Oh, what are you doing, smoking weed? And then another time, these kids in Las Vegas got me high at this coffee shop. But that was it. But I was never pulled over. When the cops cite me, they never asked me. They never mentioned drugs ever, not once, to me. Oh, cops searched me in Tucson once though, because some chick thought I stole her purse, and then she apologized to me a couple weeks later. She saw me in a Starbucks. But yeah, I have been with people who were busted. When I was in college, my buddy got pulled over. The cop said he was speeding, and then the cop like found a joint on the floorboard on the passenger where I was, and we didn't even know that joint was there. We didn't even smoke joints, so I think he planted it. But then he found my buddy's bag anyway. I had to pay $600 to get him bailed. And then once I got pulled over because this cop said I came into a town too fast when I wasn't. I was totally under the speed limit, looking at my speedometer the whole time. But I had a crazy painted VW van, and this kid I was with he was like, "Do you have any weed?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "Are you sure? I'll get the dogs out here and sniff, and then you'll be in real big trouble." And I was like, "Well, I don't have any." And all of a sudden, he's like, "Oh my God, I have it. Here's my bag." And he's like, So he had to go back there later on for a court date. And I didn't even know the kid had weed. And I wanted to get high. I was like, what? And then, we got pulled. Once I went to Boulder from Durango one weekend, we got pulled over twice the way here and then twice the way back. Because the people who were driving my van, like, they weren't used to how much the steering wheel played, and they were riding on the wrong side of the road and stuff. And we had weed the whole time. We were smoking weed in the car. Like, somebody was exhaling from a bong when the lights came. And we didn't get busted any time. It was crazy. It was amazing. And we were passing through these zero tolerance areas. I was like, what the fuck? Did you... Okay. Oh, but I was in Texas, dude, a couple years ago when I was going to do my kayak trip. I was heading down there, and my car broke down, and I was on the side of the highway, and I got stoned, and I had weed. And then like a minute later, this cop pulls up, and he's like, "What the fuck? What you doing on the side of the highway?" I was like, "Oh, my car broke down. I'm all high." Like, if he had done that while I was smoking, I'd be in jail for like 25 years. Also, you have any tips on finding new weed dealers if you are in a new city or where you're afraid you might... Oh yeah, I have a lot of experience with that from traveling around the world. Yeah, in a place like, Chile or Buenos Aires or something like that, you just see the people standing around in the downtown, and they're the weed dealers, and you just ask them, and they tell you, and they hook you up, especially if you're a foreigner, they know you're not a fucking cop. Now, as far as undercover cop, dude, this is something from like 30 years ago, man. We don't have cops or narcs or any of that shit anymore. That doesn't even exist, so you're like stuck in the wrong decade. You're stuck in the wrong millennium. If I was in America, this kid actually, one of my YouTube viewers, he came and stayed with me a couple days. No, he didn't stay with me. He was in his van, living in his van, but he was hanging out with me a couple days, and we went in. This is before they legalized weed in Boulder. It didn't activate until like April this year. This was last summer, and he goes down. He was going to go buy weed, and he went downtown here in Boulder, and he didn't even have to ask anybody. He just went down to this place. I told him just go to the Central Park area, and some old person just approached him, and he came back with a bunch of weed. He's like, that was easy. So yeah, just go to the Central Park area and ask around. Ask the homeless looking people, and man, and they'll hook you up. I got weed. I've scored weed all over the world, man. When I was in Alice Springs, Australia, the most remote city in the world, I asked some Aborigine wandering down the road, and he's like, "Oh yeah." He showed me to his buddies. I had to hang out with him, drink beer with these old Australian dudes for 3 days, which was fun. They were cool. But before the guy mustered up the motivation to go to his house, but he gave me a good deal. He gave me like an ounce for like $90 or something. It was fucking awesome, and it was good shit. In the middle of fucking bumfuck nowhere, Alice Springs. That's fucking cool. Yeah, dude, don't worry about. You're not gonna get in trouble for asking somebody where to buy weed. I mean, I'd be surprised if that happened even in, I don't know, maybe that would happen in South America, in like Louisiana or something. I know somebody who went into Kansas like last month and got pulled over for passing a truck like at the wrong part of the street and in some town, and pulled him over, got a $10,000 fine for having weed. So, but I guess he had he was stoned though too. He got busted for being stoned. I don't know how they could prove it though. And he happened to have a gun with him, so I guess if you're stoned with a gun, you get the $10,000. It's federal and all that. But, so I don't know. Some places maybe they're totally fucked in the head and they will do that shit. But not if you're anywhere like west of the Mississippi River, Yeah, that would be interesting actually to ask somebody from I know somebody from Atlanta, Georgia. I should ask him. Is that feasible? Would they really do that? If you ask somebody for weed, can they throw you to fucking jail? They can't do that. Dude, no, they can't do that. That's impossible. And if they do that, just do a YouTube video bragging about it, and you can make fun of whoever the little bumfuck nowhere town that did that shit. Anyways, okay, that's enough. Peace out.